something didn't feel right on the set of Hudson and Rex. The show everyone loved suddenly felt quiet. Fans noticed missing faces, strange silences, and one name that kept echoing online: John Reardon. For years, he was the heart of the show, the detective with sharp eyes and a loyal dog by his side. But now whispers began to spread. Why wasn't he returning for season 8? The rumors grew darker. Some said John had been fighting something far more serious than a contract dispute, a battle with cancer. And then the shocking claim appeared that he had been let go right after his diagnosis. But was it true? Or just another cruel twist in the world of television politics? Before the heartbreak, there was admiration. Hudson and Rex wasn't just another TV series. It was a comfort show. It gave people hope, laughter, and a reason to tune in every week. And at the center of it all stood John Reardon, the man who turned Detective Charlie Hudson into a household name. His calm, intelligent energy brought warmth to every episode. And his chemistry with Diesel, the real-life German Shepherd behind Rex, became something fans couldn't get enough of. When the show first aired, critics were unsure whether another cop and dog drama could stand out. But John proved them wrong. He didn't just act. He connected. Every scene felt real. The way he talked to Rex like a partner, not a pet. The way he carried emotional weight without overdoing it. Audiences saw something rare. A man who wasn't trying to be a hero, but naturally was one. Off-screen, Reardon had a reputation for being humble and kind. Crew members described him as someone who showed up early, remembered everyone's names, and treated the dog handlers with respect. He wasn't just the lead actor. He was the heartbeat of the set. His co-stars often mentioned that he had an aura of calmness, the kind that kept everyone grounded even on tough shooting days. As the seasons rolled on, Hudson and Rex became a steady hit. It wasn't flashy or scandal-driven. It was genuine, a feel-good crime series with loyalty and friendship at its core. Fans started calling John and Diesel the perfect duo. Fan pages popped up, memes spread, and children even wrote letters saying they wanted to be detectives like Hudson. For John, it was a dream come true. Years of hard work in smaller roles had finally paid off. He was loved, respected, and at peace with his career. But behind that calm smile, something was quietly changing. Observant fans started noticing subtle differences. His face looked a little thinner. His energy seemed lower in interviews. His once frequent Instagram updates became rare. No one thought much of it at first. Actors get busy, schedules get tight. But then months passed, and John's absence became impossible to ignore. When production for season 8 began, fans flooded the show's social media pages with one question: where is John Reardon? There were no answers, only vague hints about creative directions and new storylines. Yet the more the network stayed silent, the louder the rumors grew. Whispers turned into headlines, and headlines turned into outrage. Some claimed he was taking time off for health reasons. Others believed something far more tragic had happened. The truth was still hidden in shadows. But one thing was clear: something had changed forever behind the scenes of Hudson and Rex. And soon, fans would uncover a story that went far deeper than television. Deeper than fame, a story about humanity, struggle, and how one man's courage could shake an entire industry. As the lights dimmed on the Hudson and Rex set after season 7, the cameras stopped rolling, but something heavier lingered in the air. Crew members whispered quietly, trying not to draw attention. John Reardon, the face of the show, had disappeared from the spotlight. There were no press photos, no interviews, no posts from behind the scenes. It was as if the man who once brought life to Detective Hudson had quietly walked away without saying goodbye. At first, fans believed it was just a break. After all, actors needed rest too. John had carried the show for years, balancing long shooting days and the emotional weight of every storyline. But then came the whispers, quiet at first, then louder, spreading like ripples through the fandom. Someone claimed a crew member had mentioned that John wasn't just tired. He was sick. Very sick. Soon, the word cancer began to appear in comment threads and fan forums. Nobody wanted to believe it, yet everyone feared it might be true. The more people searched for answers, the more mysterious it became. His social media, once full of cheerful smiles and behind-the-scenes laughter, had gone silent. No new pictures, no updates, not even a post on his birthday. It was as if John Reardon had vanished into thin air. Insiders began to speak quietly, anonymously. Some said John had been battling a serious illness for months, even during filming. They said he showed up on set no matter how weak he felt, determined not to let anyone down. He would hide his fatigue behind that familiar smile, deliver his lines with the same passion, and then retreat quietly when the cameras stopped. Others claimed he'd confided in a few close friends on the crew, asking them to keep his condition private. The respect people had for him only grew. Fans, still unaware of the full truth, noticed his absence from promotional tour and wondered why the network said nothing. Then, out of nowhere, early reports hinted that Hudson and Rex would continue without its lead star. The official statement didn't mention John's name at all, just a vague promise of fresh energy for the next season. That silence spoke louder than words. The fandom erupted. Where is John? Why are they replacing him? Has something happened? The internet filled with speculation and heartbreak. Many felt betrayed that the network wasn't transparent. Others defended the show, believing it was only a temporary pause. But one rumor refused to die, that after his diagnosis, John Reardon had been quietly let go. The very thought broke hearts. People couldn't imagine Hudson and Rex without the man who made it special. Social media became a storm of support messages and theories. Some fans even started petitions demanding answers. He deserves respect, one viral post said. You don't fire someone for being sick. You stand by them. While no one from the production spoke publicly, there were traces of tension. Some reports mentioned disagreements between management and the cast. Others hinted that the studio wanted to minimize risk, filming schedules were long, and insurance policies were strict. Behind those cold business terms, though, was a human being fighting for his health, perhaps even fighting to stay part of something he loved deeply. In the entertainment world, silence can say everything. And in John's case, the silence was deafening. For months, fans waited, hoping he would reappear, post something, say something, anything to show he was okay. But nothing came. Only recycled articles, speculation videos, and secondhand sources filled the void. It was in this uncertainty that the heartbreak truly began. The audience who once watched Hudson and Rex for its warmth and partnership now watched with worrying, realizing that their favorite detective might be fighting a real-life battle no script could prepare him for. The story wasn't just about an actor anymore. It had become about humanity, resilience, and the dark corners of an industry that often forgets compassion when contracts end. And while no one could confirm the full truth behind the rumors, one thing was undeniable. John Reardon had touched millions of lives. His silence wasn't weakness, it was dignity. Even as speculation grew, he chose privacy over pity, peace over publicity. But as Season 8 began production without him, fans couldn't help but wonder, was this truly the end of Hudson? Or had the man who gave him life simply been forced to fade away? The announcement of Hudson and Rex Season 8 should have been a celebration, a new chapter for a beloved show. But instead of excitement, it sparked confusion and heartbreak. The official trailer dropped without a trace of John Reardon. No Detective Hudson. No familiar smile. No emotional connection that fans had built over years. It was like watching a home you loved being lived in by strangers. The silence from both the actor and the studio turned what should have been joy into a mystery that gripped the fandom like a cold hand. Then came the whispers that shook everyone. John Reardon had been fired. Not just written out, not just stepping away, fired. The words hit like a punch. How could they possibly remove the man who was the entire heart of the series? And worse, how could they do it after what he was reportedly going through? For many fans, the idea felt cruel, even unthinkable. But in the world of television, truth and rumor often blur into one heartbreaking reality. People began piecing together clues. A leaked production memo, a missing cast photo, a new lead being cast without explanation. It all seemed to point to the same conclusion. The studio had made its decision quietly, away from the cameras, while the world was still waiting for an update on John's health. Insiders claimed the reason was contract complications, but those close to the show said there was more to it. One source hinted that insurance and shooting delays were the real issue. When a lead actor becomes too ill to guarantee consistent filming, networks often make hard and cold business decisions. But this time, it wasn't just business. It was personal. Because this was John Reardon. For years, he had carried the show with grace and discipline. He wasn't known for drama, tantrums, or fame hunting. He was professional, reliable, and deeply loved by both his co-stars and the crew. And yet, that loyalty didn't seem to protect him. As news spread, fans took to social media, creating hashtags like #Justice for John Reardon and #Hudson deserves better. Tweets poured in from around the world. You don't fire someone for being sick. We stand with John. This show is nothing without him. Still, the production team stayed silent. Not one official statement addressed the issue directly. Instead, they released vague press releases about creative renewal and taking the show in a new direction. But fans could see through the careful wording. The direction wasn't new, it was empty. Every post from the show's account was flooded with thousands of comments demanding answers. The silence only made things worse. Behind the scenes, some reports claimed there had been emotional meetings between John's representatives and the network. They allegedly pleaded for time, asking to delay filming so John could recover. But production timelines are expensive, and patience in television has a price tag. When contracts are tied to strict schedules, studios often choose to protect their money over their people. It's a harsh truth many actors have faced before, but hearing it happen to someone like John made fans furious. Several entertainment outlets began digging deeper. Articles appeared with headlines like "Was John Reardon pushed out of Hudson and Rex?" And the real reason behind the Season 8 shakeup, some writers pointed fingers at the producers, while others suggested that the decision came from higher up, where networks weigh viewership and profit margins above compassion. The idea that an actor could lose his role because of a cancer diagnosis felt like a story no one wanted to believe, but everyone feared was true. Meanwhile, members of the Hudson and Rex family kept quiet, but their silence spoke volumes. A few posted cryptic messages on social media, hearts, pie emojis, or simple quotes about strength and loyalty. Fans immediately connected these posts to John. It was as if everyone on the team wanted to say something, but couldn't. The loyalty they felt for their friend clashed with the contracts that bound their voices. Every day, new speculation surfaced. Some believed John had chosen to step away to focus on his recovery. Others were convinced he was forced out under pressure. Either way, the damage was done. Trust between the show and its fans was broken. What once felt like a warm, comforting drama had now turned into a real-life tragedy unfolding off-screen. In the middle of all this, John Reardon himself remained silent. No interviews, no statements, no social media posts. Only his absence spoke for him. And maybe that was his quiet way of saying everything he couldn't put into words. As weeks turned into months, one question haunted everyone. If the rumors were true, if the show really did fire him after his diagnosis, what does that say about the industry that built him up, only to leave him behind when he needed support the most? Because Hudson and Rex was never just about solving crimes. It was about loyalty, between partners, between friends, between hearts. And now fans were left wondering, did the people behind the show forget the very lesson it taught them? Time passed, but the silence around John Reardon only grew heavier. For months, there was no confirmation, no denial, just a haunting stillness. Fans kept searching, digging through interviews, behind-the-scenes clips, and industry leaks, hoping for something to hold on to. But every lead led to the same conclusion. The truth was being buried under corporate politeness and public relations language. The only thing louder than the network's silence was the sound of the fans' heartbreak died slowly. A clearer picture began to form. Insiders claimed that while the firing rumor had some truth, the full story was far more complicated. According to some reports, John had indeed received devastating health news during the filming of the previous season. Rather than making it public, he chose to keep it private, continuing to work quietly as long as his body allowed. When it became clear that he needed time off, the studio allegedly faced a choice: delay production or recast the lead. And instead of waiting, they moved forward, gently writing Hudson out of the upcoming storyline. For executives, it might have been a practical decision. But for fans, it was unforgivable. To them, John wasn't just an actor. He was the soul of Hudson and Rex. You could replace a script, a set, even a dog actor, but not the heart that made the show what it was. When people tuned in every week, they didn't just want to see a police case being solved, they wanted to see him. His quiet strength, his compassion, his bond with Rex that felt real enough to believe in. Losing that was like losing the magic. The online community didn't let the issue fade. Entire pages were created in his honor, filled with fan art, heartfelt messages, and emotional tributes. One viral post read, "John Reardon taught us that kindness can be powerful." You can't fire a spirit like that, another said, even if he's gone from the show. He'll always be our Hudson. Fans began sharing clips from older seasons, moments where Hudson comforted Rex, stood up for the innocent, or smiled softly after solving a case. Those scenes now carried a different kind of weight, as if they were echoes of a man who gave everything, even when he had nothing left to give. Then, months later, came a faint glimmer of light. A friend of John's, a minor crew member, reportedly mentioned in a podcast that John was doing better and focusing on his health away from the spotlight. The words were simple, but they meant everything. Fans flooded social media with hope, their comments filled with tears and emojis. "That's all we needed to hear," one person wrote. "He's fighting, and that's enough." Even though no official confirmation ever surfaced about his supposed firing, the story had already grown beyond fact or rumor. It became something larger, a lesson about compassion, loyalty, and the fragile humanity behind entertainment. People began questioning the way the industry treats its actors, the way stories are replaced by profit margins, and the way silence is used to hide uncomfortable truths. In many ways, John Reardon became more than an actor. He became a symbol of quiet resilience. His fans didn't remember him for his absence, but for his presence, the years he gave them, and the emotion he left behind in every frame. They admired his grace, the way he never lashed out, never tried to expose anyone, never turned his pain into drama. Instead, he stepped back with dignity, leaving behind a character that felt timeless. By the time Hudson and Rex Season 8 premiered, viewers tuned in with mixed feelings. Some watched out of loyalty, others out of grief. The new faces couldn't fill the space John left behind. The chemistry, the warmth, it was gone. The show still had its name, but the soul that once defined it had vanished. Comment sections under official clips filled with messages like "Bring back John" and "It's not Hudson and Rex without Hudson." As time went on, people realized something profound. John's story wasn't about being fired or forgotten. It was about fighting silently with grace. Whether or not the rumors were fully true didn't matter anymore. What mattered was how he inspired people to care. Fans who never met him prayed for his recovery. Others wrote to networks demanding fairer treatment for sick actors. He had unknowingly sparked a movement about dignity in the entertainment industry, one small act of compassion at a time. And so, even as Hollywood moved on, Hudson and Rex fans didn't. They carried John's legacy forward through rewatches, through hashtags, through kindness. Because the truth wasn't just in what happened behind closed doors. The truth was in the hearts of millions who refused to forget him. In the end, the man who once brought life to Detective Hudson didn't need the screen to be remembered. His story had already transcended it. For fans around the world, John Reardon's courage became a quiet reminder that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's the silence that speaks the most.